Hello everybody, welcome back to Thomas Plays Games. We're playing Factorio episode 11. So this episode is all about trains. Now that I've finally got all of the stuff for my power armor, like the different components that I want, like the fusion cells and that thing. Well, I don't think at this point I have the last fusion cell, so I'm still missing one last component, but I get enough power from the fusion cell to power the legs pretty well, the lasers pretty well, and the roboport quite well. Or the roboports quite well, as long as I don't use them continuously. So right now what I'm doing is I'm looking at areas that I want to put trains. This episode is mostly about trains, and I want to get at least the system in place for a good train system going. So yeah, I like to have the trains on a different y-axis, I guess, if you think y-axis as the top of the screen, on a different y-axis than the furnace layouts. If you can do that, then you should, in theory, be able to scale them indefinitely. Although it might be difficult at like some points. So yeah, that area up there that I was looking at is the area I eventually decide on actually putting the train system in place. So yeah, just like looking around the power armor. The nice thing about getting power armor finally is that I can use the robots to take out all those horrible trees. Instead of having to get a flamethrower or just chopping them myself, I can actually just have the robots do it. I get free fuel and I don't have to do much work. You just use deconstruction planner to take them out. And yeah, so I put that first rail as just kind of like a in-place thing, and now I'm just going to go and try to grab whatever I need. Try to grab all the stuff I might need, as well as just, while this is all happening, try to get the processing units I might need. So yeah, robots, all the logistics robots taking the wood out of my inventory. I'm just letting them do that because they don't have a stack size bonus yet, so once I get that, then they'll start taking it a lot faster. I think robots can hold up to 4 items once you get the final stack size bonus. And yeah, just getting rid of more wood and setting up the different train things that I want to be requesting. So if I remember correctly, in the last episode, I did set up the actual area to produce all those train things, although I did not actually connect stone properly to the setup. There you go, work a robot speed, trying to get those things faster. Getting them faster is really nice, as long as you can get the faster robots you have, the less you have to worry about your construction robots doing things, or just kind of doing something and then taking forever to get back to you. Yeah, just ditching these guys. Just waiting briefly while that happens. And yeah, just kind of running back and forth, getting the processing units as well. Okay, so now that I've ditched a bunch of that stone and just kind of let some of these resources pack up, I'm going to grab a couple things. I put one stone wall down because I don't want to hold an uneven or an undone stack. No, it makes it so much easier to walk through forests when you can actually tell the robots to do it for you. Okay, so what you want to do when you're making a train system, if you're using roboports like I'm doing, is you kind of make like one rough design for a drop-off station, and then once you have that design, then you can just copy and paste it with the robots to get some pretty efficient actual areas. Trying to get rid of a couple things I don't really need. Okay, so yeah, just naming them really convenient names. Sorry, whoever's name that was. They named them after the developer or the people who donated. But no, I just like I think it was donating like $30 or more. But you know, I like the names that are actually easy to understand. And yeah. So yeah, normally the way that I want to do this is I want to have a drop-off area long enough that I could have two different trains in that space. So like right now, you should in theory be able to fit 2 3-car long trains into that entire section that I just built right there, and then you can just connect it to another section, just copy and paste it out there. So you'd have one unloading and one waiting to be unloaded. And that system's worked out pretty well for me in the past. I mean, you could technically have up to 4 trains waiting. 4 trains maximum if you had, or well, you could have 2 trains per drop-off location, or if you name the drop-offs the same thing and have them go into the same place, then you could have 2 times however many of that blueprint you have there going, because you don't want to have more than that, or else you'll end up in a system where trains are backing up into other parts of the rails, at least the way that I do them. There might be a better way to do it, but the way I do it works pretty okay. As long as you don't overload that number, you're never gonna want trains to go to like sitting on the track, preventing other trains from getting into where they should go. So that's why I use that setup, and I just put 2 of them. Put 2 of them down. Yeah, I end up turning the what I called iron 1 to oil, because oil is the thing that I need the most right now. You can see the iron is filling out pretty darn well, but the lack of oil becomes a huge problem in this campaign. So yeah, I'm 79 of 100 processing units, so I'm like almost there. You see, I'm building the train system. I end up deciding instead of on a 1-headed train, I decide on a 2-headed train system. So that means I have to space out the blueprint that I made a little differently. Because if you're using 1-headed trains, it's hard to get it so that they can turn around easily. Or well, you have to add extra rails at a terminus location so that you can turn around effectively. If you have a 2-headed train, you don't have to add extra things like that. So yeah, I first make this thing as if I want it to be an actual ore unloading station, but in the end I decide to actually make it into oil. And when as far as I've played, it's until episode 15. As far as I've played for myself, I end up actually just almost exclusively focusing on oil, not really getting any extra train stuff. Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out where I'd want to put that. Let's go delete the trees. Yeah, to allow me to actually put the blueprint down. It's so much faster to use robots to kill trees. Yeah, a lot of people like using explosives or grenades or driving into them, but I really think that it's just using the robots seems a lot better to me. Okay, so you copy the name over, which allows trains to actually, if a train's trying to go to the first iron one, but it can't because there's the block is occupied, it'll actually go to the second iron one, which is a really nice way that the Factorio devs actually programmed that to allow it to, to go to the same one. If you don't actually block off the thing and just have it occupied, the trains will crash into each other. So what that means is that, like, if you have just like one track in a loop and you have one stop but 2 trains going on it, unless you actually divide up that loop into individual sections of train, into individual sections of rail, so like you'd have like 4 blocks if you put them on 4 different locations in the circle. If a train, if you have one exit or one endpoint, one stop, and you don't block that off, then another train is going to try to go to that stop if you have more than one train listed to that area. So even if you can list your stops as the same name, and they'll all try to go to that individual thing, but if you don't put the blocks, then they're basically going to crash. So that's what that means. I hope that was a good explanation. It was a bit tough to... Trains in this game can be pretty darn complicated. Just gonna delete a whole bunch of that. And yeah, because I didn't actually do much stone work, there's not much stone currently in the factory right now. So I need... stone is needed for landfill, and stone is needed for walls, for landfill, for bricks, and for actual... what are they called? The actual rails. So using this huge stone pack down here, I should be able to solve most of the problems with stone. So Gonna move this RoboPort over so I can actually get a fully saturated line. Yeah, just put that down there. Covers almost the whole thing. Okay, there we go. So I cover the whole line like that. And then yeah, just put the put that there. I was thinking of looping that originally back to the area that I was actually smelting stone into stone bricks, but I decided instead to just put it all the way or straight over here. All of it goes into rail production currently. And yeah, so there's the rails are. Perfect. And I'll just let the robots pick them up for me. No need to use my hands. And yeah, those should deal with the stone pretty darn well. And I'll get a lot more rails from that now. So a nice easy solution. Doesn't actually clog up the factory too much. Essentially just adding an extra line to the main bus. Okay, so now that I actually have all the processing units I need, yeah, I should be at 100 now. Yeah, okay, so now that I've got pretty much all those, I decided to cut down the processing unit production. I don't need to have like 5 of those things going at once. 2 of them should be more than enough for what I currently need, which is not much module production. Although I will, when I upgrade those, I will actually have to increase processing unit production. It's just that I don't want it to happen right there, because it's a terrible place for it. And, okay, pick up some stone bricks. I'm going to pop down some electric smelting, or some mine furnaces. What I'm doing here is I'm going to start looking into how I want the furnace layout to go. So how I want the actual ore smelting to happen. So I can make a blueprint of that, and then just continue on. Making it scalable, or easily scalable, because I already have the materials and the blueprint needed. I just have to link up the inputs and outputs. Just gonna make... so I start out with a very, very simple blueprint. Since I'm low on copper, it's gonna mostly be for copper. So I was just looking at how I want to do this, and figure that's good. Just kind of put like a stack of 8 or so with beacons on either side, or with beacons surrounding. So you put a beacon on the outside, beacon in the middle, and beacon on the other outside, on the far side, and you just copy them. So you can get like a stack of 8 furnaces with, that'd be 24 beacons. Yeah, with 24 beacons. And okay, yeah, so just cut those out because I don't need the belts to go that far. I'm trying to get rid of the wood. Once you get auto trash, it makes it a lot easier to do that kind of work. So yeah, I was gonna put down where I want processing units, but I realized that I need more actual red circuit production before I do that. And unfortunately for red circuit production, I need more copper. And, you know, I also am going to need more oil because that becomes a problem. I never actually end up upgrading this thing. At least not in the episode I've currently recorded too. Again, letting the logistics robots just pick up all the stuff. And yeah, that's just, I put that belt down just kind of for blocking. I don't really need to, yeah, it's not really useful right now. Yeah, I think I'm just running around looking at different ways I might want to clean up the way these things are made. Yeah, I end up in a position where instead of being really low on iron, so I can't produce many belts, I end up really low on oil. So you need heavy oil to produce lubricant. So if you run out of oil, you don't have much heavy oil, so you don't make much lubricant. Yeah, just picking up a whole bunch of stuff. I end up replacing some of these belts, trying to get iron where it needs to go even faster. Yeah, just kind of poking around right now, looking at different things. I decided to ask for electric power poles, because I'm going to need those. Yeah, just ditch all the things that I don't really want right now. Again, auto trash would make that a lot nicer, because you can just, like, preemptively decide what things you don't want. But that's no problem. You just take away all the batteries. I don't need them if I have enough fusion cells. Okay. So here's where I'm looking and I'm like, okay, I actually do start like realizing that I need oil quite badly. And the only oil that I know of is there's, I'm not sure if you can see on the minimap, there's two very small oil fields just off to the side there. So what I do is I just take out some biters. And yeah, the laser defense doesn't really do that much, but it doesn't hurt. There's no I mean, I could use the space for other things, but honestly, it doesn't really bother me that much. Yeah, so I'm just taking some of these guys out, because I don't want the biters encroaching too close, because I don't want to have to actually put up walls yet. Yeah, the forest has been good enough at defending me from, or preventing the pollution from getting to the biters, that I haven't really had to fight them that much. And here's the oil. Unfortunately, I know because I actually spent a lot of time looking for oil, both on and off camera. I know for a fact that this is the only oil that is within, like, you know, a pretty decent amount of time away. I end up actually going, like, very, very far away for oil, setting up two huge deposits. But that'll be for, you know, you'll find that out in another episode. So yeah, the reason I asked for the big power poles is because I wanted to do this kind of thing. Hook up both the oil and the, what's it called? The actual train area. Hook them both up. I figure I'll get rid of all these trees. Nice thing about, the nice thing about having all of these things set up, or all of the research set up, all of the production for that, even though it's not a nice setup and it doesn't work perfectly, is that I do get enough research, so if I wait long enough, I do get the research coming. So I am actually quite close to the final robot speed. I realize I'm just like one tile out of the area I want. And I'm going to set up the actual field things to use, to ask for mostly wood, since there's probably going to be a lot of wood in the factory for a while, and then a bunch of coal, and then if there's, you know, and then it'll take, and then it'll ask for a little bit of solid fuel, and I'll just let those build up. I'm not sure which would actually be preferred. Yeah, so this is the general setup that I'm using for how I want the trains to go. I was thinking at this time I was going to do a one railed setup, but I don't, yeah, right around here I think, I was thinking about it for a bit, and I decided not to. Well, I remember in the end I decided not to, but I wasn't sure when I did that. You could use a one railed output, but it'd be really hard to get multiple trains to move back and forth from each other. So you end up, even though I'm going to use a two-head system, I find it a lot easier to use a one-headed system like this. And right now I'm just setting up the blueprint for what I want for a straightaway. Because most of the rail system you're going to be using is just a very long straight path. Kind of like that. And you can see this is why I wanted the robots before I started doing rails. Because if you don't need them that badly, it's so much easier to get them by waiting until you have... it's so much easier to get trains going by waiting until you have the actual robots to build them for you. And yeah. So yeah, I'm trying to make the blocks big enough for a 4 unit train length, but I also want them to be at the same location so that I can easily copy and paste this blueprint. So that's what I'm counting right there, just trying to see where the right area is. And I think that looks good. Yeah, so that, I'm pretty sure they fit just perfectly together. Yeah, they do. Okay, cool. And yeah, now that I have the rail going up to where I want it, and yeah, so the left lane is going to be the outgoing lane, so it's going to go up, and the right lane is going to be the incoming lane, so it's going to go down. So that's why I set the system up like this. And gotta put the rail chunks down. I tell the reason I put a chain system, or a chain, whatever they're called. Yeah, chain link there is because I wanted to copy the block in front of it so that no trains will actually try to, or there aren't going to be two trains that should go in there. I mean, there should never be two trains going in there, but it's a good precaution. Chain signals copy the ID of a signal in front of it. So if the signal in front of it says don't go because there's something in the block that one signifies, then you don't want that there. And I'm looking at this trying to figure out why I can't place the train car thing, and it turns out to be because I don't put them on either side properly. Yeah, so I didn't put the chain signal on the right side. And right here I just put a little loop so that the train can actually come back. Yeah, just like that. So that's not going to be permanent, but it's just there because I don't want, I want the train to be able to get back to where it's going. Okay, and I believe I messed this up, the system. So what I do is I set up the system. I tell it, okay, I want you to go to the location that you want to mine, and you should go there until you have a certain system. So the condition I'm using is cargo, and I want it to go there and load up on full oil barrels until the cargo, until there's no more no more empty oil barrels. So it's going to load up full oil barrels until there's no more empty ones. And then I also add an extra condition: wait until 5 seconds of inactivity. I set that one up because I don't want the train to like leave without a full complement of the barrels that I put in there. So I put in between 80 and 100 barrels in the train total, and I think each barrel can hold 50 oil, so that'd be 50 times 100, so like 5,000 units of oil, and that's a pretty good amount that I find. So I end up, the problem here is that I put circuits instead of cargo. They both start with C, and I wasn't really looking that hard. Yeah, and you can just use, I like to use, since I'm using two cargo wagons, I just use two assemblers. One at the location that the oil is drilled unloads or loads up the oil, and the one at the location where it's emptied at the big train depot actually takes in or unloads or loads the oil. Yeah, unloads the oil. So this one loads the oil, the other one unloads the oil. And I'm kind of just looking around like, what the heck? Why is it not going? And yeah, so I keep reading, I keep looking at it. I'm not too positive at this point in the game what's wrong. So one of them says cargo, one of them says circuits, like I said before. And I was like, maybe the number's not right, maybe I remembered incorrectly, but it turns out that's the actual issue. And I figure I want to color these guys black because they're the oil trains, so it's kind of fitting. Yeah, so the problem here is just because I'm not paying attention, or I'm not reading it very well. So I figure I'll just set it to manual, bring the train back myself, and then figure out what's going on afterwards. I want to go in here, and I actually missed the turn, so I want to go back. That's why you want to have the trains ride or control themselves. And yeah, if you park these incorrectly, the inserters will actually unload things from the train. Okay, so I tell that guy to go off, and then I think here I'm gonna build the actual unloading area, so where I want them to go. And I just get hit by the train. Don't really do that. It's not a good idea. Okay, so I'm just gonna back this guy up, tell him to go to there and turn him off. Yeah, put him back on manual mode. Yeah, so here you're going to see I'm going to unload the oil barrels. And same thing, just using inserters that are actually case sensitive, the filter inserters. You want to take off the full oil barrels and put on the empty oil barrels. And it's really easy. The assemblers work well enough that you don't have to worry too much. Yeah, they go fast enough that your trains are not going to be stuck there for very long. And it's actually faster than if you just kind of like try some weird belt setup. So I really like that system. And then you just kind of like pipe them back down to where the oil is actually produced. But, you know, I'm sure there's issues with the train setup I use. There might be like very, very late game, multiple trains deadlocked because I wasn't paying attention to like a few things. So here's where I'm grabbing all the oil barrels because I want to make a good number of them. So I make 80 oil barrels here. And yeah, robot cargo size 1. So yeah, I think I finished pretty much all the robot cargo speeds. And yeah, so I add those tanks because I want there to be, you know, if the oil is having, yeah, I want the oil to kind of build up. I don't want to just go straight through the pipes. Although the way fluid mechanics work, I'm not too sure how they exactly work. I think it does take time for fluids to move, though. Or at least that's my assumption. So yeah, in each of these I put in 80, or I put 80 total, so 40 in each individual thing. And there are the 10 seconds of inactivity. And yeah, so I still see, I didn't see the circuit problem yet. And I'm just adding more unload things. Yeah, I gotta space the rails off better, or the blocks off better. Alright, so I try to catch the train, but I am unable to do so. So I'm just gonna run up and head it off. It's not. I mean, the oil. Looking at the oil field, it's close enough that I could have dealt with it without an issue. Or I could have actually just piped it like from there. But I figured I was gonna get trains going anyway, and I'm gonna need the trains for when the oil gets much farther away. This oil will hold my factory over until the point where I eventually get huge oil amounts coming in. Yeah, I'm just gonna block that one. So yeah, now that some oil is going to be coming over, and I have a whole lot of underground pipes, just going to set those up. Make sure I go around the copper. And yeah, so that's that connects it up to the main area that they're going, that the oil is actually processed. Yeah, again, a lot of these things are yeah, so there's no path. Yeah, so a lot of these issues because I wasn't I clicked the wrong button and then didn't notice the mistake I made. So that's what a lot of these issues are coming up. And the no path there is because there was the train wasn't allowed to go both ways because I didn't have the lights on both sides of that thing. So you got to watch that if you're doing a one-way system. So I was manually telling the train to move, but it wasn't allowed to move because the block ahead of it was didn't exist for that side. And that's the end of the episode. Thank you for watching Thomas Plays Games. I hope to see you all next time. Goodbye.